Good evening. First of all, I want to thank everyone for coming out. This is the beginning of the final budget presentation of the Baker administration, and we're very pleased to start that process right here in the southern part of the county and Oxon Hill. And as always during these budget presentations, this is your opportunity to talk to us about how do you think we should actually allocate your dollars. It is your tax dollars that we're spending to make sure that Prince George's County is the best. Let me just say a couple of things. You know, we've been very proud over the last almost 8 years that in Prince George's County, not only have we improved economic development throughout the county, seen our crime rates drop, but this year we got information that Prince George's County is ranked 21 out of large counties in the United States. To put that in perspective, the nearest one to us in the Washington region that ranks above 100 is Loudoun County, which is ranked 55th, and Fairfax County, which is ranked 121. So we've been very proud of the fact that we're leading the Washington area and Maryland in job creation. Very proud of the fact that we've seen development throughout. And as I said, seen our crime rate this year reduce the homicide rates by 18%. We're about to, we broke ground on a brand new regional medical center, and we've seen improvements in our school system. So we feel really good about where we're going. Our finances are in a good place. The county doesn't have, as always, we want to be fiscally prudent and socially responsible. So that's the type of budget we want to present to the county council on March 15th. And so we look for your ideas. As always, we welcome ways for us to, if there are ways for us to get more revenues in, and if there are things you would like for us to cut, we look for that also. With that, Janice, you're going to give us the rules.
Before I call the first speaker, I'd like to go over the rules for tonight's proceedings. First, I would like to ask everyone to put their cell phones on vibrate during tonight's hearing. In order to provide everyone the opportunity to present testimony this evening, a time limit of 3 minutes will be imposed. I will have a timer set for 3 minutes. When there's 30 seconds left, I will hold up a sign signifying 30 seconds left. Once the time has expired, an alarm will sound. Please be considerate of others and wrap up your comments at that time. Thank you. And our first speaker, hold on 1 second.
See, all the directors and deputy directors thought I forgot about them, but I didn't in this last one. So just in case you have questions, we might point you out to one of our directors. I'm going to have them come up briefly and introduce themselves, even with Adam Ortiz, who is way up top. So come on down. Let's do that really quickly. Nicholas, you want to start us or kick us off? You must turn the mic on, they tell me.
Good evening. I'm Nicholas Majette, the Chief Administrative Officer for Prince George's County.
Turn the mic on.
Jim, you have to turn the mic.
Turn it on.
Hello, testing.
Yeah.
Hello, I'm Jim Coleman. I'm the President and CEO of the Prince George's County Economic Development Corporation. It's good to be here.
Good evening. I'm Gloria Brown Burnett, the Director of the Prince George's County Department of Social Services.
Good evening, everybody. Good evening, Mr. County Executive. I'm Adam Ortiz. I'm the Director of the Department of the Environment.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Ruby Sherrod, and I'm the Associate Director for the Department of Permitting, Inspections, and Enforcement.
Good evening. I'm Mary Lou McDonough. I'm the Director of the Department of Corrections.
Hello, I'm David Iannucci, Assistant Deputy Chief Administrative Officer for Economic Development.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Martin Harris. I'm Deputy Director of the Department of Public Works and Transportation.
Good evening. Brad Frome, Assistant Deputy Chief Administrative Officer for Public Infrastructure and Economic Development.
Good evening. Gwen Clerkley, Deputy Director, Department of Public Works and Transportation.
Good evening. Colonel Darren Palmer. I serve as the Chief Assistant Sheriff.
Good evening. I'm Mark McGaw. I'm the Deputy CAO for Public Safety.
Good evening. I'm Betty Hager Francis. I serve as Deputy Chief Administrative Officer for Health, Human Services, and Education.
Good evening. I'm Barry Stanton, Deputy Chief Administrative Officer for Public Infrastructure.
Good evening, everyone. Ben Barksdale, Fire Chief.
Okay, we're going to get started.
Good evening. I'm Stanley Early. I'm the Office of Management and Budget Director.
Our first speaker will be Sarah Cavett.
Is that too high?
With my voice, it carries. Thank you very much. Good evening. My name is Sarah Cavett. I'm here speaking on behalf of the Indian Head Highway Area Action Council. Our first point is that we continue to support the creation of an independent office of the Inspector General. 2 commissions appointed by the county executive have recommended that you have an independent Inspector General. So we will continue to strongly recommend that we seek funding to fully implement that office within this next fiscal year. My second point was going to be to please make sure that we had CART and a signer at various public meetings and hearings, particularly for those of us that are hearing impaired. I thank you very much. This is extremely helpful for those of us who can't hear as well as we used to. And there are a lot of people who are going to be more and more hearing impaired in the next few years. This also helps those of us who are visual learners. We understand then what people are saying. So I do thank you very much, and we want to make sure it happens at all public meetings from now on. This next point is that we support the hiring of more inspectors within the Department of Permitting, Inspections, and Enforcement. We believe that if we enforce those regulations we currently have in place, our county will benefit environmentally and economically. We believe that commercial developers count rooftops, but they tour industrial and commercial areas. Therefore, we would benefit economically from consistently and continuously enforcing property standards in our industrial and commercial areas. And lastly, we believe there should be more transparency and/or an annual report on the status of bonds already approved, issued, and on the books before any more bond questions are placed on the ballot. I thank you very much for letting us make our comments. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker will be Grace Collins.
Thank you, County Executive Rushion Baker and the 2019 Budget Committee for this opportunity to let me share our cutting-edge concept for a workforce development plan called Telecaregiving. I am the founder of Telecaregiver LLC, which was birthed in 2012 as a solution from a collection of real-life bad experiences from being a family caregiver for my ailing parents during the past 13 years, and my own health horror story from being permanently disabled by a doctor who botched up an epidural in my neck in 2011. This forced me to stay at home for years, and it was really during that time that I got to observe what home health aides, CNAs, and LPNs were doing, or should I say not doing, for my parents. I literally went through 19 home health care workers, of which only 3 were qualified of integrity and properly trained. With those, I identified the problem gaps, and I also teamed up with some very high-level federal advisors from HHS, USDA, and the VA. Through that, we developed a practical 40-hour curriculum and compendium app. Our first course is called TeleCNA, which is designed to teach certified nursing assistants on how to use the basic telemetric mHealth monitoring devices and apps to support home-based patient care. Each year since I started this project, I noticed an increasing acceptance of the use of telemedicine, and that is really starting to be integrated into innovative healthcare reform ideas. Funding for telemedicine has traditionally been earmarked for rural healthcare and veterans serving abroad. However, now, with the increased acceptance of electronic health records, self-tracking devices such as Fitbits and Apple Watches, Skyping consultations with doctors, even regulations on those who can use telemedicine are being eased. Priority laws amongst states for doctors' licenses being recognized, and now Medicaid covers telemedicine in all 50 states and territories. We need more grants and bills that support funding for telemedicine for the use in urban and suburban areas too. Telemedicine statistically does reduce fraud, waste, and abuse. For that example, it reduces 2.2 million of unnecessary transfers between emergency departments, saving $1.39 million. Hybrid technologies would avoid another 850,000 transports, saving $3,537 million a year. Correctional facilities, it would save $210 million a year. In nursing home, transport costs approximately $3.6 billion a year. With telemedicine, it would save $1.2 billion for inpatient visits. Overall, increasing the use of telemedicine would reduce hospital stays and $19 billion of loss in hospital readmissions rates, which is approximately about $3 million a year or more. Even with the new $543 million University of Maryland Capital Region Medical Center groundbreaking ceremony on November 30th that you, County Executive Ruchon, spoke at, I am sure that you know that the top consultants have identified the value of continuum of care monitoring after discharge, and they desire to be a cutting edge in terms of informatics and innovative uses of telemedicine. We all need to address the fact that every one of us are getting older and not younger. And if we are not strategic and have a workforce development plan in place for the future, there will not be enough caregivers to take care of the baby boomers. So we are trying to start the training now for the demand of the future. Since online education is gaining acceptance and young millennials are accustomed to using iPhones, tablets,
Thank you very much.
smartphones.
Oh, we have your testimony here. We're going to,
Okay.
but thank you for coming out and testifying.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. I believe I saw former senior staff Calvin Hawkins here. You're here, wave. Thank you.
Can you please speak into the mic when you are speaking? Our next speaker is Tamara Davis Brown.
Good evening, County Executive Baker and senior administrative staff. Thank you for the opportunity to come before you. For the record, I'm Tamara Davis Brown, living at 12012 Bork Drive in Clinton, Maryland. I'm coming to present a couple of legislative priorities that I think need to be considered before our House delegation while they're in their 90-day session. And primarily it has to do with the big behemoth just down the street called MGM and how they want to expand. I think we need to go back and renegotiate before allowing further expansion to MGM, that we get additional revenue from them for our schools, because I do not want to see any new tax proposals for a tax increase. And we really need to take advantage of the fact that they're going to be increasing the gaming and table gaming sites, potentially building a second tower is what I'm hearing. There are other expansion plans on the books, and the fact that we are not getting what I feel is our lion's share of resources and financial resources, and they're making millions, and we've seen the reports of how well MGM is doing here in the county. I still feel that we're being shortchanged, and because we spend 60 cents on every dollar for school education in our local taxes, we're just not seeing the promise that when voters voted. I did not vote for bringing gaming to the state or to the county, but since the promise was made to build MGM, that we were going to, the majority of the money was going to be used for education. I'm still seeing that our education budget is very tight. We're not, it seems that we're still supplanting what was originally in our tax dollars versus what we're getting from MGM. So I'd really like to see us renegotiate that formula with the state gaming commission, so that we will not have to see new tax proposals. Same thing on bond bills. Your administration has had the highest voter seeking voter approval for bond bills than any other administration, and I think I testified on this last year. That's indebting not only our children, but our children's children, and it's not fair because we're not seeing the infrastructure, particularly here in South County, in terms of that there's going to be now a delay. Mr. Barksdale came to our community to tell us there's going to be a delay in the construction of the Oxon Hill Station, new fire station, and there are over 3,000 calls coming out for the first due service out of the current Oxon Hill Volunteer Fire Department. So we really need to see you hold fast on bond bills and that we don't see any more of those requests in November. And then finally, I want to ask for more funding for the bus, particularly in South County, to get our residents around throughout South County. And then greater funding for state road priorities. You're going to have to present priorities, and you know 210 Indian Head Highway has been in the news lately. We want to make sure that those MGM dollars are coming to complete that, but 301 Route 5, we had a pedestrian fatality of a young man from Wise High School not too long ago. We want to ensure that we get signalized crossing that was supposed to have been done back in 2015. We've got the Behemoth on Route 4 of Westphalia, but the traffic is horrible. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Let me just say one thing about, and we'll make sure we have all this in here, but the just so the audience is clear on the MGM and the gaming, Ms. Brown is exactly right. That is an issue we have to take up with the state. The state legislature determines the split between state revenues and county revenues, and so the education funding that is supposed to come down from the state is determined by those. So we will definitely bring this up with our delegation. It's a concern, quite honestly, that we've raised with them. That we found that the money that was coming down, supposedly coming down to the local jurisdictions for education at the state level is being supplanted. We always thought that should be in addition to, and that's something we've raised with our delegation, and we'll continue to do that.
Lori Argos.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Lori Arguelles, and I'm the president and CEO of the Alice Ferguson Foundation for Environmental Education. And I'm really here as much as anything to say thank you, Mr. County Executive, for the investments that you've made, not only in transforming communities, but also in transforming our county writ large. You've made a strong investment in education, and like others tonight, I would like to call on you to continue to make this budget your last and best budget, at least as county executive, and to continue to invest in experiential education opportunities. Those are critically important to our students in Prince George's County, and the state of Maryland, I'd point out, is still the only state that has environmental literacy graduation requirements for its high school students. So let's keep up the good work here in Prince George's County. I'd also like to commend you on the work that has been done in transforming neighborhoods. I know it was tough to go to once-a-week cleanups, and I may get booed up here, but as somebody who cleans up the trash regularly through our Potomac River watershed cleanup, which, by the way, sir, is April 14th. We'll look forward to seeing you out there. That I know that that's been tough, and it's been a cultural change and a real change for folks in terms of service. And it's been tough, I have to say. It's been really tough down here in South County. But I'd like to encourage you to hold strong. I think that as we continue to see the benefits, not only from a budget perspective of once-a-week trash pickup, but also with enhanced emphasis on recycling and composting, I think those are areas where we can not only do well for ourselves, but also well for our environment. I'd like to ask you to continue to advocate for bag legislation statewide. I know you want to see that here in Prince George's County, and we are certainly part of the Trash Free Maryland Coalition to try to get that to happen statewide. It would be very helpful if in that conversation that there are opportunities for those funds that are gathered, if there is to be a bag fee, for that to come back and be earmarked for each county. I'd like to say that we've really appreciated the investment in green buildings in the county. and we'll ask for one more round of support in that regard. And finally, as we look at the intersection between ecology, agriculture, and architecture, I would just remind you that you have 1,200 acres of land that is under your management for the agricultural uses in the county, and to look at the value of sequestering carbon through healthy soil is something that I would really appreciate you all looking at. Last, I'll say that we're here to help too, and we look forward to getting fairly large firefighting, water firefighting tank installed in our property to help down in the Accokeek area with any fire issues that we hope will never arise, but we want to be prepared and ready, and we appreciate Chief Barksdale and his team in that regard. With that, I will say thank you for all that you have done, and it is a great day in Prince George's County. Thanks to you.
Thank you, Lori, and thank you for all of that you have done for the county. I do believe, in my eyesight's bad these days, but I think we have former delegate Veronica Turner here. If she's here, can stand up, give her a round of applause. Thank you for coming out in your former district, and thank you for the work that you did as while you were in Annapolis helping us, and as chair of the Legislative Black Caucus. Great job. Do we have any more? Okay. Well, I want to thank everyone for coming out here tonight. We want to make sure that you're aware we're holding, this is the first of 3 briefings on the budget. As I said at the very beginning, it's your opportunity to have input. I think the budget is available. The budget is available online, so please feel free to look at that and continue to give us your comments. The next budget hearing will be on February 8th at Prince George's Community College at 7 p.m. The final budget hearing will be on Tuesday, February 13th, and that will be at Laurel High School at 7 p.m. We look forward to seeing you there and get the word out, and thank you very much.